Hi everyone, thank you for tuning in. Today I'm talking to PJ Dooley from Coole Eco Community, another friend who I've met through the Dublin Eco Village network. PJ, would you like to introduce yourself and what you do?
Hello Nessa, good to have this opportunity to talk to you. Yeah, I'm PJ Dooley and I live in a place called Coole Forban. We have an organic farm here, a small organic holding, and we're in the process of trying to develop it into a small land-based eco community where people can come and work the land cooperatively and hopefully eventually maybe build small-scale natural built housing and create a small community that would be reasonably self-sufficient and self-reliant, but would also be hopefully be I suppose a template maybe for other rural small holdings as a way forward to become more sustainable and regenerative. So that's me in a nutshell.
Sounds great, and sounds like something that we really need to be moving towards, especially as we're seeing the kind of systems that we live in exposed at the moment. Things like how our food is supplied and how we take care of each other as a community.
Okay.
So in these strange times when our lives are pared down to a more basic manifestation, can you tell me about something you've noticed during this time that you feel is kind of life-giving and important to you?
Okay, well, I suppose one thing that's important is the whole thing of friendship and you know, how we I suppose rely on friends and appreciate friendship, and how important it is to support each other in times like this and be there for each other. Also, I suppose I'm very fortunate to live in the countryside at this time and have nature all around me. And I suppose nature is waking up. We're in early April, waking up from its winter slumber, and the birds are singing and the leaves are budding. And it's also a sense of peace, you know, in the countryside. And it's an opportunity to be out in the garden and start to plant and sow things. But also, I suppose, music is something that sustains me as well, you know, and that's very important to me and I know to a lot of people. So that's about it.
Yeah, same here. I've been really appreciating the chance to play more music at the moment, and also I found I'm collaborating more with friends musically across long distance. So our friends have been sending tracks, and then we've been recording over each other's tracks, and I'm really appreciating that at the moment. And same with the nature. I saw my first peacock butterflies yesterday. So apart from the fact that the trees are trying to kill me with their pollen at the moment, I'm really appreciating nature too.
Yeah.
And what have you found concerns you most about the world today, or what's going on at the moment?
Well, I suppose one thing that's concerned me for a number of years now is the whole thing of the loss of biodiversity, the assault on nature, if you like, climate chaos, and all due to the way we live and global capitalism and the consumerist culture. And another thing that's concerned me more recently, I suppose, is the whole wave of anti-immigrant and sentiment and racism, and also the appalling inequalities, I suppose, on the planet. I'm not as concerned about the current pandemic. I think we are reacting well to it. Obviously, I'm aware that people are living through a lot of stress at the moment and anxiety and fear because of the current pandemic. I think that will probably pass. I think that's more of a short-term, medium-term issue, but there's longer-term issues like biodiversity loss and climate change. that we really need to remain in crisis mode, emergency mode in order to tackle. And I'm concerned that we're not going to tackle them in the same way as we tackled the coronavirus. That's one thing I'm quite concerned about.
Yeah, I'm hearing what you're saying about anti-immigration sentiment, and I think it's really important that we don't make people who are coming from other countries kind of a scapegoat or put the blame on them for any of the problems that we're facing in society at the moment, because it's something that we're going to all need to cooperate on to combat these things. As the Extinction Rebellion organizers say, one of the three calls to action, I suppose, is beyond politics. This needs to go beyond our governments and our borders and our political ideals. This is, all of us are in this together.
Yeah.
And I think the pandemic is teaching us that. So I have a little bit more hope for how we might come together to combat the other issues.
Yeah.
What do you see as a solution that we can bring about in the aftermath of the pandemic? Like, how do you feel we can make our communities more resilient? I'd love to hear more about the eco community, for example.
Okay. Well, I suppose one of the things we're learning from the current pandemic is how we need to be more self-reliant. For example, growing our own food. And I suppose that's always one of the solutions, that we get back to the land, that we put an emphasis on organic and regenerative agriculture, which is basically about building soils, increasing biodiversity, planting trees, growing food, developing local food systems, and generally becoming more resilient in that sense. And I think the answer is in our own hands in a lot of ways. That we need to stop relying on big government and move the power away from the corporations to the local communities. And so rather than having corporations taking the wealth out of communities, we need to create our own wealth. And I suppose that's, in our own small ways, what we're trying to do here in Fermanagh is just to get a group of people together who are like-minded and who are committed to regenerating nature and to creating a community of equals, and using that as a template that hopefully will be replicated. And I know there's a lot of similar things happening all around the country and all around the world. And we're just a very small part of that. So that's the sort of direction that I'm hoping we'll go in.
And you're demonstrating that that's achievable as well, and also it sounds like a very enjoyable lifestyle there in the eco community.
Yes, we just I suppose our first resident has moved. Siobhan, she's moved in a number of weeks ago, and she has a horticulture background. Yeah, and already she has made a huge difference in terms of getting the garden into shape and planting seeds and mulching fruit trees, and she's planning to develop a forest garden. And so it just shows how things can really take off when new energy and new ideas come in from into in this case into a rural area, which is and that's another issue that we need to tackle, is the whole thing of rural depopulation and rural decline. And I think we need to rebalance and reverse the movement of population so that people can move out of the urban areas into the declining rural areas and create a new vibrancy, and in many ways return to what things were like in rural Ireland, say 50 60 years ago, 80 years ago, whatever, when there was much more life and a much more vibrant community and high levels of self-sufficiency. And I suppose I'm lucky enough to remember some of that from my grandparents, who lived quite near where I'm living at the moment. And there was a very strong community there, very with a high level of neighbourliness and using the bell system, mutual support.
Sorry, can you repeat that last part?
Yeah, they operated a meitheal system, you know, which is basically around supporting each other and helping each other at various times of the year, whether it's harvest time or whatever. They also, my grandparents' home was called a rambling house, and we'd hope to reintroduce that into our own community here, where people can come and on occasions for events or whatever, and have music and storytelling and song and poetry and whatever. So
love it.
Yeah, so it's not just the environmental side or whatever, it's also the social side and the cultural aspects as well, and the economic aspects that we all have. It has to be an integrated approach.
I can't wait to see it. I missed my chance for a visit just before the pandemic broke out, but I hope to get there very, very soon.
Yeah, you'll be more than welcome, Nessa.
Thank you. And I think you were talking about reviving rural towns and things. There have been some amazing success stories where migrants have brought energy back into rural towns and villages, and brought energy back into GAA clubs, and so it'd be really great to see more of that. Absolutely,
totally agree. Yeah.
Thank you so much for talking to me today, especially as I know you've been having a rough day so far, and I hope things will improve.
Okay, I'd just like to dedicate this interview to John Bryan.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Nessa. Thank you.
Bye.